I said I would, so it's time to follow through. They say that there's no point putting down something you don't agree with if you have no good ideas to replace it, so here I go. I've been a vocal opponent of the way Firaxis handled age transitions in Civ VII. So for this video, I'm going to do my level best to present a vision for how age transitions could work in Civ VII that is not so jarring to the player and keeps a sense of continuity throughout the game. Welcome to Civilization Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Now, a few things before we dive in. First, I want to keep my thoughts clear and my need for snappy editing to a minimum. So please enjoy this B-roll of me playing while I try to make sense of the great mess that Civ VII has made with age transitions. I apologize for not being more visually clear. Also, keep in mind that I am certain that concessions were made at the coding level in order to design a game that incorporated this Civ switching mechanic and made the game playable. I have no idea what is behind taking a concept from code to finished product. What I will present here is a vision that accepts the concept of age transitions and presents it in a way that I think will be most meaningful to players. A lead designer with a better sense of what is actually possible might hear my vision and simply say outright, it can't be done. But let's reach for the stars, shall we? The vision I will present here is also just one of two ideas for how age transitions could work that I have had rattling around in my noodle for a while. Why not present both, you ask? It's because the idea I'm about to present is far more simple than the other and tampers with fewer of the game's mechanics. I may get around to making a video about the second idea, but let's see how this one lands with viewers first. I've stated in previous videos that what modern Civ games lack compared to their predecessors is a series of trade-offs. Trade-offs make decisions hard, but they also make them meaningful. When you win or lose, you can look back and say, I should have made this decision instead of that decision. There is a feeling of doing one thing instead of another. Newer Civ games, Civ VII especially, has more of a do this first, do this next feel. There is no instead of. Nothing feels locked out. There's very little, if I make this decision, I won't be able to do this other thing. And I think there should be. It's what gives your decisions weight, and it's your decisions that make the game fun. What I think hurts the age transition the most isn't so much the hard stop and start as much as the what the hell happened during the last 1500 years feeling. So this is one key point that I want to address. In my vision, there will be no gaps between the ages, and the progress of the years will be continuous. Civilizations at war can remain at war. We'll get to that. And a player's units do not remain in place and suddenly upgrade to units of the new age. When the new age comes, if you have a measly warrior on a tile, he'll still be there in the exploration age. Another key point that I want to address is the drama of every Civ making that transition, not just the human players. The way that I would do this is by making that leap a major mile marker in the game that every Civ needs to reach, but they do so on their own. And it's a decision that every civilization makes for themselves. So how would it all work? For this exercise, let's focus on transitioning between the Antiquity and Exploration ages. Players begin as they normally would with a single settlement and exploring the terrain around them. They build more settlements and expand, growing their culture and navigating through the tech trees. Rushing technologies for a power spike is not a new phenomenon in Civ. I propose a few bridge technologies, even a few bridge civics. These would be techs or civics at the end of the Antiquity age trees or the start of the Exploration age. These technologies would be researchable at any point, assuming players have the prerequisites. Take astronomy, for example, which is one of the first researchable technologies at the start of the Exploration age. Players could research toward astronomy during the Antiquity age. Once a player does this, they are asked if they would like to proceed to the Exploration age. They can decline for the time being, but are then unable to research any other Exploration Age technologies, and must then complete research of other Antiquity Age techs and masteries until they choose to leap forward into the Exploration Age. On the other hand, if the player does decide to move into the Exploration Age, they can no longer research Antiquity Age technologies they have skipped over. Those paths are now closed, so proceed with caution. So in this scenario, progressing to the age is a choice, and the choice comes with trade-offs. But no matter what, the game continues, no hard stops anywhere. Now, because transitioning to the new age is a choice, let's look at what would happen if players choose to go forward into the next age. But first, I want to point out that human players could be the first to reach an Exploration Age tech and trigger the age change. Or it could be the AI that does this. Either way, whichever civilization that you have met that decides to leap into the new age, it's a pretty big deal. Let's imagine that the human player is the first to transition into the new age. What happens next? All the players on the homeland are called together by the civilization making the transition, in this case, the human player. As the first civilization making this great leap, they declare to the other players what is happening in the world, how they see themselves as technologically superior to their neighbors and the supreme leaders of the known world, alone in progressing to this new age. It's a great and ostentatious ceremony that could upset one's rivals. In keeping with the spirit of civ switching, the player gets first choice of which exploration age civ to evolve into, if they want, and with some trade-offs. So let's talk about trade-offs and what would happen as a result of this grandiose ceremony. One player is now in the exploration age while the rest continue in the antiquity age until they decide to make the transition themselves once they've researched the necessary technologies. You may say to yourself, well, the human player is now at a huge advantage, can build better units, and the snowball will get out of control. No, I say. Once a civilization advances to the next age, remember, a warrior on a tile is still a warrior. They cannot research text from the previous age. They can only move forward. Suddenly, an antiquity age tech that might have taken only 3 or 5 turns to complete, they are now forced to research new, more expensive exploration technologies that take 15 to 20 turns to complete. This is happening while the other civs can still research technologies and masteries that make their antiquity age units stronger than the units that the civilization now in the exploration age skipped over. This would create a window of opportunity whereby the civs that have yet to progress to the next age are now speeding through the antiquity, while the exploration age civ is trudging through the mud of the new age, trying to keep their borders secure while they are comparatively weak. This celebration, hosted by the first civilization to make the leap, could also spark a coalition of the other civilizations, determined to undermine their hegemony over the homelands and spark an all-out war that could even wipe out the civilization in a type of fall of Rome scenario. Being the first to transition could put that civilization in a very precarious position and destroy alliances for the entire game. Naturally, as other civilizations progress to the next age afterward, it pulls them out of that coalition as they are now forced to research new, more expensive techs and civics. It's kind of like the more a civilization leaps forward, the more an ancient civilization seems barbarous and hostile. And hostile is what the human player will need to become if they are trailing other civs in the game. They'll need to find a way to cut into their opponent's lead and then transition at the right time. Each time a new civilization progresses to the next age, we get a ceremony and their grand announcement of which civilization they have become. Xerxes has successfully led the Persian Empire into the exploration age. Seeking new opportunities of conquest through the use of their mighty cavalry, Persia has evolved into the Mongolian Empire. They celebrate their grand achievement by renaming Parsa, their capital city, which is now Karakorum, or whatever else could be included as meaningful information to players as they transition into the next age. Also, little thing here, when a city is renamed, however it gets renamed, there should be a little history box that says, like, Parsa, founded by Persia in 4000 BC, renamed Karakorum in 400 AD, new capital city of the Mongolian Empire, etc. Also, when you capture a rival city, it should automatically rename that city, giving it a name from that civilization and adding it to the city's history. I'm trying to preserve the developer's vision here that transitioning between ages is a rocky and uncertain period. I think the best way to do that is by doubling down on the consequences and the trade-offs of making that decision to move forward or wait. Be the leader, or form a part of that coalition of resistance, at least for a while. I know that Firaxis went with the crisis, and I want to make a video about how I think those could be improved, but what doesn't work is trying to manufacture that uncertainty with the scheduled crisis and with every civ transitioning to the next age at the same time. Sorry, vanilla out of the box, it just doesn't work, or at least it isn't fun. Hopefully this is all making sense. In a nutshell, what it comes down to is that there would no longer be a need for the age percentage and the countdown. Every civ pushes forward on their own. It's a little like discovering, apprenticeship, and the game telling you, scholars often debate when it happened, but you know that the medieval era began when you discovered apprenticeship. It's up to you to upgrade your army and keep it strong as you progress. Exploration age units, when players can finally unlock them, are stronger and more agile and everything else, but they can still find themselves face to face with and be eventually taken down by a swordsman. No more erasure of a fully buffed Roman legion becoming obsoleted by a hard restart. No, if they are strong and can take down a level 1 exploration age infantry equivalent, so be it. Let the powerful armies of antiquity stride forward into the future until the future perfects their own innovations. So what do you think? Could adding greater overall continuity and allowing each civ to progress to the next age on their own smooth out the rough edges of the current age transitions? How interesting would it be to still be in antiquity and have boats from distant lands end up on your shore? How interesting would it be to strike out into the ocean and discover a whole continent of players stuck in antiquity while all of the civilizations on the homeland have progressed into the exploration age? What new opportunities for conquest or even diplomacy could arise from these scenarios? How would you add to or prune the idea I've just presented? Or maybe you have your own idea how to make age transitions better, more meaningful, and more dramatic. Let me know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like videos like this and haven't done so already. And thanks for watching. And remember to keep playing and making your own civilization story, your own amazing path through history, and I'll see you next time.